Hello Synapse community, my name is Ryan Majitimer, and I'm a product manager on the Azure Synapse Analytics team. Today I'm joined by Jovan Popovic, who's a program manager on the Serverless SQL team. Today he's going to talk about sharing your lake database tables between Apache Spark and Serverless SQL. You may recall from the last update in August, the Synapse update for August, that we announced this feature, and today we're going to tell you a little bit about it in more detail. I'm going to hand it over to Jovan. Welcome, Jovan.
Hi, my name is Jovan. In this video, I will show you how to expose your lake database tables using serverless SQL pools in Azure Synapse Analytics. Azure Synapse Analytics is a solution that enables you to query your files in your Azure Data Lake using Apache Spark pools or SQL pools. In order to query your Delta Lake, Parquet, and CSV files, you need to create some databases. There are two types of databases in Azure Synapse Analytics workspace: lake databases and SQL databases. If you are using Synapse Studio, you will see lake databases and SQL databases in Object Browser. The difference between lake databases and SQL databases is that lake databases are managed by Apache Spark pools. So you can use your notebooks to create lake databases, create objects in lake databases, or drop lake databases. Or you can use Management Studio to connect to your SQL pool and create your SQL databases, create tables, views in SQL databases, or drop SQL databases. So the key difference between the lake databases and SQL databases is that lake databases are managed by Spark and SQL databases are managed by SQL pools. Another interesting feature is that when you create a table in lake database using Apache Spark, and that table is referencing Delta, Parquet, or CSV files, this table will be automatically available in SQL pool. This way you can use your Management Studio to connect to your SQL pool and query your table that you created using Spark Notebook. Or you can use some analytical tool like Power BI or the analysis service to query your table created in Spark using SQL pool. Let us imagine that this is classic data lake solution where you are ingesting some data into data lake in bronze layer, then moving data into silver layer, then moving data into gold layer. And you have Apache Spark pools that are doing this transformation and serverless SQL pool that is used to show this data in the reporting or analytical tools. You can easily create a lake database that will be available both in Apache Spark pools and serverless SQL pool. Then you can use notebooks to run some statements like create table green using Delta that will create a table on top of some Delta Lake structure. This table will be available both in Apache Spark and serverless SQL pool. So you can use serverless SQL pool to expose your table to Power BI, analysis service, or any other tool that can connect to your serverless SQL pool. In addition to this, you can use Management Studio to create additional views on top of this table. So you can create views that can wrap your tables created in Spark. You can create functions or procedures that implement some business logic on top of this table. And you can use both views and tables in your reports in Power BI or other tools that can connect to serverless SQL pool. Let's see this in practice. I'm using a Spark notebook that will create one lake database using create database statement in Apache Spark pool. Now, when I created this lake database, I can create a table called green using Delta format on top of some Delta Lake folder. When I execute this script, Spark will create table called green and it will reference this folder here. And I should see my table in my Synapse Studio. Now I can use Spark Notebook to read data from my green table. This query will select 10 records from Lake Database green table. I can connect to my workspace using SQL Server Management Studio and connect directly to Serverless SQL pool. Here I can refresh my list of databases and I can see that Lake DB demo appeared in this list. When I created this Lake database using Apache Spark Notebook, the database automatically appeared in Serverless SQL pool. Now I can switch to my Lake DB demo and I can run select top 10 star from table green and I will get the same results that I got from my Spark node. This way I can use T-SQL language to query a Delta Lake table created using Apache Spark pool. I can also enhance my model and create additional schemas like report schema and create views on top of my table. Here I'm creating view called green in the report schema, where I'm exposing vendor ID, month, that is month from pickup date, year, passenger count and amount from my table DBO green. This is the Delta Lake table that is created using Spark. Now, instead of querying directly table green, I can query this view that has transformed columns. Now I'm able to run query using Management Studio that will read data from my green view and filter data for this year, group data by month, order it by month, and do some calculation. This way, I can access my Spark Delta tables using SQL language and Serverless SQL pools, and I can create additional views, procedures, and functions on top of my tables. And to summarize, Synapse Lake databases enable us to create tables on your data lake files using Apache Spark pools. The tables that are created using Apache Spark pools are automatically available using Serverless SQL pool. This way you can use Serverless SQL pool and T-SQL language to query your tables that are created using Spark. In addition to querying tables, you can enrich your models by adding additional SQL objects like views, inline table value functions, and procedures. Or you can add database scoped AD users who can access lake tables in your lake database. Thank you for watching this. I believe that this feature will be helpful in the solution where you need to implement analytics and reporting on your Azure Data Lake.
Well, that wraps up our video for today. Thank you, Jovan, for joining us. I'm sure I'm not the only one that's excited about Apache Spark and Serverless SQL becoming closer and closer together. If you are excited about this, tell us in the comments. Again, my name is Ryan Majitimer. You can find me on Twitter. You can also find Jovan on Twitter, Jovan Pop_MSFT. You can also find Synapse on Twitter, believe it or not. And actually, if you are the type of person that is inclined to follow people on Twitter, follow products on Twitter, for instance, Synapse, we have just the program for you, the Azure Synapse Influencer Program. I personally am a Azure Synapse influencer, and other cool people, Jovan, MVPs, I hear, are influencers. There's a lot of people. There's different titles, champions, challengers. There's always a third one. It's very elusive. I'm not entirely sure if anybody has that title. I may have that title. I'm not entirely sure. But you also could have that title, whichever the third one is. And it's very exciting. I'm sure it's the best tier to be in. At any rate, link in the description. It's pretty quick to sign up, very easy and painless, and it's fun for everybody. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.